Hi, welcome to Baby Adventure. This is the starter gear reduction assembly or starter reduction idle gear assembly, whatever you call. So the naming can be a bit complicated. Why? Because it does two things. It does reduction, that is from high RPM to low RPM, and it sits on a intermediate idle shaft and it rotates the crank pinion gear and using high torque from that high RPM to high torque. That is the function of this idle gear assembly or reduction gear assembly. Further to access, we have to remove the front sprocket cover here panel. For that, we will remove 8 bolts, completely number of 5 short, and we will remove the gear rod too for easy access. Then we will have here 3 bolts, out of which bottom two has dowel pins, so it became difficult for me to remove this cover or panel. So the bigger one goes onto the left, bigger bolt with long length, and onto the right it has small bolts on top too. We have slot to beat so that it comes out or hammer a little bit with a rubber hammer. So aluminum is very sensitive or very soft comparatively to the tools we use, which are made of steel or iron. It might dent the panel, so I carefully hitting in the slot so that it comes out. There are dowel pins, I will show you when I open it. So it took a lot of time for me to carefully remove it. After removing, I will showcase or tell you about the gear reduction and why it is necessary. So why to remove this? So why to remove is that when we press the starter button, when the starter motor engages here, if you feel there is grinding sound or you feel there is no enough rotation, so this might be a problem. So this is how you remove it. There are two dowel pins on the either side at the bottom, that is the o-ring or gasket of this assembly. It should be protected. There is engine oil, little bit of splashes so here and there. So it is lubricated and heat is dissipated, so engine oil has to splash here. So for that, to protect, we need a o-ring or gasket, and this is the intermediate shaft I'm talking about, and there are washers on the either side of this gear. So you can see here the bigger one with finer teeth engages with the gear of the starter motor, and the smaller gear with bigger teeth engages with the pinion gear. This is what I am talking about. So this bigger gear reduces the high RPM from the starter motor and induces to the other gear which has bigger teeth and smaller diameter. This goes on sits into the pinion gear of the crankshaft gear, which rotates at high torque so that engine starts. So the intermediate shaft we put with a washer on the other end, and so we insert like this. So I have discovered that it won't just sit like that. So we have to rotate it anti-clockwise, as the idle pinion gear will rotate in only one direction. So we have to rotate little bit forward, so in the anti-clockwise direction, so that it sits in. So this is the close-up of the slot here assembly. So here there is at the bottom, that is a crank pinion gear, crank shaft pinion gear. So these are the two dowel pins, and that is the pinion gear or a shaft of the starter motor. So that starter motor gear engages with the bigger gear which has a finer teeth. If you remove that bolt, entire assembly will come. This has to be removed while removing the magnet or magnetic coil. So this is the gears. This is the thing here, starter reduction gear assembly, what's so called. So for your reference, I have a close up here. So it has 19 teeth, the smaller gear with bigger teeth, and the bigger gear with the finer teeth has 70 odd teeth here. So this results in reduction of the RPM from the starter motor to the bigger teeth, and the bigger teeth with the same shaft induces the high torque. So this is the final position. If you remove for any grinding noise or starter motor issue, this is not the final position, and the earlier is the final position. So you will, if you stuck here, what to do is, see that motion here. The crank idle pinion gear rotates only in one direction. So when we fit in this assembly, we have to rotate it anti-clockwise just like that, so that it sits in. So after that, we have to put the washers, don't forget. Then later on, just slide it, the cover panel, onto it. So why to remove this is the major thing. So if you hear the grinding noise or starter problem, the finer teeth on this gear assembly might have worn out. So that might be a issue which results in not transferring the torque or RPM whatsoever. So if you like the video, please like, share and subscribe for Baby Adventure for information videos.